I put my faith in you. They turn their backs on you. Man, I'm never going back. Man, I'm never going back. I put my faith in you. They turn their backs on you. Man, I'm never going back.
What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl, Rebel Ray. I am the host with the mostest, and I have a guest today, a special guest, my cousin.
I'm Janae.
And Janae comes, where do you come from, Janae? You're a transplant here in Stockton.
Yes, I currently moved here about a couple months ago. Well, first of all, I'm in the military, so I move around a lot. I'm from Oklahoma, as Rebel Ray is as well. Well, kind of, sort of, but, they live here.
From my mother, from my dad's side.
Yes. Yeah. From Oklahoma, was raised in Georgia. And then from there, just went into the military and hopped around different places, and now I am in Stockton.
You're in Stockton, because we going around everywhere and kind of doing your thing, meeting new people. What have been maybe some of the countries you've gone to?
Oh wow! Some of the countries I've been to Qatar.
Qatar, and I heard Qatar is actually the richest country in the Middle East. It's not actually Dubai, it's actually Qatar, I heard.
Yes, I can see that. I can't say for sure because I don't know those facts, but I've definitely seen downtown, a couple Maseratis and, some fancy cars.
Lamborghinis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's like a Lexus right there.
Right. Wow.
But, yeah.
And you got to eat different foods and stuff being in the military?
Yes.
Yeah.
Different experiences. You get to meet different people. It's a lot of good times with people. Yeah.
So we're actually missing my co-host, Art Collins. He is still celebrating his 40th, y'all. He turned 40. Clap it up, party it up. He turned 40 this year and just really celebrating it hard. He did a decade when locked up. So he promised himself some things on his bucket list that he would do if he got to 40, and the Lord blessed him to see 40. And so he is doing that. And so blessings with him and the family, and safe travels. I'm very, very proud to hear that they're living their best life. And when you can rejoice in someone living their best life, right? You can live yours. You can live yours in all of the empowerment that God gives you and grace.
Yes. It's an inspiration to see other people succeed in what they want to do in life.
Exactly. And I think a lot of times we tend to kind of reflect on how I can get there, how I can be the one to go on vacation for 2 weeks and love it and have a good time.
Yes.
And I support that. I support self-care and vacating and getting away, you guys. That's what we should be doing.
It's very much needed.
It's not as much needed because Rebel Ray's birthday is right around the corner, y'all. Shout out to myself. I am turning somewhere in my 30s. Not quite 40 yet. But It's been a hot one. I'm a little hot. I'm preparing for my birthday party. I am a little tired. We had listen. First of all, I miss you guys. I missed you all last week. But when I tell you we were celebrating, we were uplifting one another. We were just rejoicing in the fact that we're making progress. And you do have those pessimistic people who are just like, they just gave y'all that because they didn't want y'all to tear down the cities no more and
tear you down any chance they do.
Right. But I don't care. It was a time to celebrate. It's something that our ancestors had died for. Those individuals that their lives were given away to the sea. Didn't make it over that strait, right? And was stolen from Africa, right? 1835 was the actual date. We were granted in 1893, but 1895 is when we were actually free. 1860. Oh, okay, she got it right. 1863 and 1865.
Yes.
So 1863, Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. We know Lincoln didn't sign it just because he thought slaves would be free, but he knew that slaves outnumbered during that time 3 to 1 white person in the South that were holding slaves. And so in order to regain the country back, a lot of abolitionists, and one of the most famous ones that went to Abe Lincoln and said, "Hey, buddy, there's those slaves down there in South. If you let them go, you'll probably win this thing." And that was Frederick Douglass. So Frederick Douglass was the abolitionist, along other many abolitionists, lobbied and asked President Lincoln to sign a proclamation emancipating the slaves for good. Well, the information didn't get down south until 2 years later. I mean, that is the power of propaganda and how to really tame the mass media.
Right. Because even when gossip goes somewhere, it spreads.
It spreads.
But of course, they didn't want this to spread.
No. So it took actually 2 years, which that's why that's the date we actually really recognize. June 19th, some slaves down in Texas found out and freed themselves with help of individuals that were sympathizers to slaves being free. And so it spread like wildfire in the South, and it was still a struggle. And as you know, the civil rights came shortly after, and we still began to try to fight a little bit here and a little bit there for injustices and equity. I've been fighting. You ain't said it right though. You gotta say it like with the I've been fighting all my life.
All my life.
I had to fight. Look, if you don't know that famous quote, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, that's from The Color Purple, y'all. Something, and you told Harpo to beat me.
Yeah.
I loves Harpo.
Harpo,
Harpo, who this man? Listen, everybody thought we acted like Color Purple, but there were some millionaires. Madam C.J. Walker, rest her soul, rest in power, queen. She was one of the first Black women millionaires for her hair products and inventions and the ability to straighten and comb that hair. Listen,
true
entrepreneur, and didn't let anybody get in her way. So I'm bouncing all over the place, but Stockton turned it out for Juneteenth.
Oh yeah, they did.
Was you impressed?
I was impressed. I hadn't been here for that long, but it was a good turnout.
It was a good turnout. Yeah, we were kind of working like a mule over there at the Hillington, huh?
Ooh,
but that's okay. In the hot heat, we braced the hot heat for you. Did what, about 16 hours, 18 hours?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, we did about 16 to 18 hours just prepping, hauling stuff, moving stuff, setting things up, and just to see it play out, the vision really play out. And writing that vision and having all the collaborators really trust me and really acknowledge the fact and all the hard work that I put in, that was a blessing in itself.
To see the fruits of your labor.
Right. And to see the creativity be able to come forth. Of course, there were haters, you guys. You know, when you're doing right, when you're doing something great or you're doing something new, people are intimidated by that. I told myself this year, though, I am not going to cover my light for anybody. I've done that for many, many years. I've kind of hid it away, was behind the scenes, and did not care for the clout. I still don't care for the clout. I do it for the goodness and glory of God, the Creator, His people. And if people know me as a little girl, I learned how to organize first through my church.
Yes.
Organization skills and being able to be creative and make something out of nothing came from growing up in the church, y'all, along with parents who were entrepreneurs. Yes. Right? Some of the first of their family to be business owners. So they taught me a lot of different skills, and I was able to interpret that, reorganize that, bring that into event planning, which I own a company, an event planning company on the side. But my cousin Janae was with me the whole way. Kudos to her. I wouldn't have been able to pull that off. It was a lot of work, huh?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Support. It's a lot of work, but to see everything come together, you're just like, wow. Like half the things that she might have told me to do, or the things that are in her head, she tries to, make come alive. And you're just like, okay, I don't know, but okay. And then you see it all come together at the end. You're just like, okay.
Right? A lot of times when you're a manifester and you're a creator, people don't see it. And, I try to think on a high level, on a big level, right? And I got with like-minded people to bring y'all Juneteenth this year, do it on a big level. We plan on doing a big level, even bigger level next year. So we'll have more time. We only had 3 months. But 2,000 people showed. We were only looking for 500. 2,000 people showed. We had a clicker at the gate, and we just hitting that clicker every time we counted bodies coming in. And everybody was in sync. Everybody was harmonious. I'm so hurt to hear that someone was shot at the Juneteenth in Oakland. But when I tell you we went around that park, we staged that park, and we prayed for peace and tranquility and harmony. We prayed that in that park, that nothing like that come in that vicinity. And it was just peace. Yes. We had people from all different ethnicities come around, and they were able to play the drums with their brethren. And I just danced for joy because I was just so grateful and thankful.
Yes, it was great.
Man, to see everything just coming out of fruition. And when I tell you the music, Stockton, come on now. Shout out. When I say we have talent, we got talent. We got talent that needs to be explored, that needs to be uplifted, and it needs to be invested in. Can I say that one more time for the ones in the back? Yes. Million 1440 came in and showed out. Bobby Jones, shout out to Bobby Jones.
Bobby.
He showed out. He knew exactly what he was doing and showed out. Okay. And all of the individual artists that he brought together, even the ones that were on instrument, they were able to just shut it down, you guys. I haven't heard real good music like that since I've been to a Babu concert. And she was able to really vocalize and play around with the music and do little samples of other people's songs.
Yes.
Yes. What was your favorite time?
In the whole
Juneteenth
experience.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. I think it was just walking around when I was handing out flyers to, come visit the healing tent. It was just meeting the different people and getting to talk with them and their reactions of, oh, really? You guys have this? Oh, And free services, of course. Okay, I will stop by later.
Right.
It made me feel good that I'm helping someone.
Yes.
Experience.
Yes.
All of that, and of course the music. The concert at the end was banging.
It was so good.
I don't know who my brother was on the bass, but he was digging.
He's digging.
Yes,
That's my favorite. I said I always wanted to. I said I always wanted to actually play the bass.
Same.
And learn that bass chord.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna work on that. I already have a guitar. I just bought a ukulele for goodness.
Okay.
And trying to learn.
Just kind of pluck away.
Yeah. I got a couple people at my job, who know how to play, so I'll try to, I guess, learn from them.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And that's what this year is all about. Coming out of COVID really taught us, again, I keep telling y'all, lessons on top of lessons. Coming out of COVID really teaches you to transcend where you were at. You could have easily got left behind. You could have planned. You could have executed. You could have done all kind of business while everybody was sleeping in their bed, in their PJs, on Zoom. You could have been planning a whole business. And I actually did that. I did 2 of my 4 businesses out of COVID. Actually 3. Wow. 3. And really just really put my foot to it. I was supposed to finish my book, but like most creative people, sometimes we... No, not even writer's block. Nah, it's more like you taking chunks of all kind of other creative things you're doing when you really just need to focus on that one thing, execute it and get it done. So, you can relate?
Yeah, I can relate.
So I feel like when I go to do that, I'll be able to do that and do that in a good way.
Okay. Yeah.
Right now, building these businesses and trying to put my all into them, plus be a mommy, plus be a friend, and hopefully, a good partner to someone. That has to be able to be a balance. I was talking about that today. I ran a group up in Sacramento. Shout out to Cash. Ran a healing circle. And we were just talking about the elements of being a woman and being able to juggle that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's important.
Yes, it's very important.
It's important for self-care too. And a lot of times we put that self-care on the back.
Yes, we do. We feel like we are but we are servants to other people. Just wanting to care for other people. Sometimes we kind of get in the way of our own healing, trying to focus on other people.
That's big. Come on, Janae. Yes. Let them use you, G. Hi, yeah, bye.
Hey.
Let them use you.
I can only speak from experience.
Okay.
I like helping people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But sometimes, it can get in the way of your own journey.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just you want to put it on the back burner,
right.
So you do all these things for other people, and you just kind of run yourself to the ground, basically.
You do. But taking your time for that self-care, knowing when to step back. I had to learn that. Just step on back.
Yeah.
Let somebody else handle it. A lot of times I get uncomfortable allowing other people to handle things because I don't feel like they will put their best foot forward and they'll do it sloppily, or because I do everything with my best intention. Yeah. And that's control. I've had that since I was a little girl. My mom would say, "You're not my mama," and I've never understood why. I'd be like, "What are you talking about? I'm just trying." Right, but appreciating everyone's self-determination and the autonomy of different people and how they handle things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's important.
Very much so.
That's important. I deem it a blessing that I was called up by council and presented the proclamation of City of Stockton. Yes. Recognizing Juneteenth as a national holiday. I was able to be the recipient of that. And I gave my little speech. And, I didn't want to be one of those disgruntled blacks that can't see progress. that want to just fortify this whole issue of the continual struggle. I want to come from a place of positivity and that we are optimistic about moving forward, even though we continue to see some of the unequal treatment of people of color. I wanted to acknowledge in that moment and celebrate, and that's okay. It doesn't make me have a double standard. It just made me in that moment say, hey, put whatever we're saying right now back here, and let's acknowledge this moment that we're recipients of the ability to say the city of Stockton recognize the emancipation of Black people as a national holiday. And sometimes you get a lot more with sugar than you do with a little bit of bitterness. So, being strategic on my words, I said, hey, this is progress. When we have changed, when we have made change, of course, I will be there standing with you all to make sure we ensure change in our future generation. Because I'm worried about my kids.
Yeah, the kids are the future.
Right? I'm not having no kids to be gunned down, to be manipulated into the system. I didn't have kids for that. I had kids to carry my legacy, to support the movement, to be Black excellence while they're walking and talking, and right?
Yes.
For them to know their historical roots.
Because it's sad that you have to have such a conversation with children at such a young age that, hey, you're a little Black boy or Black girl who is being targeted, and it's not fair. It's never going to be fair. But there comes a time where you have to kind of prevail and like see through those things and overcome. As the song says, we shall overcome.
We shall overcome. And we're always against all odds, right? When you're a person of color in this country, in the last couple 100 years, we have against all odds overcome. And we continue to strive and overcome. That's why we can't kill ourselves, y'all. I'm going to say that one more time. I'm saying it real soft like. We cannot kill ourselves. We have to overcome the post-slavery and the trauma response of the wrath that we have and the disrespect we have sometimes for ourselves and our likeness. The incident that happened recently with the brother dying on the rooftop, I don't want to skip over that. Like all shootings, it was kind of just, it rocked a certain number of people in the city, and then it kind of like, okay, what's next on news? We have to talk about these things. Brother against brother in shooting, brother against brother on things that are not going to matter tomorrow. Taking the time to acknowledge that I have an emotional distress or I have an emotional trauma response, and maybe, just maybe, I'm not good in certain atmospheres. So really taking that time, a life is lost because another brother, and I'm not saying the biological brother, I'm saying another brother acted out in anger, acted out in misinformation, acted out in ego, whatever the case may be. But we know that a brother was killed in front of many. And one of the nice places to have a party, a real good time, has now been shut down to the community because of one. It only takes one act. And they generalize all of us, even the ones that never had any felonies, never went to jail, never picked up a gun in that way to kill someone. They generalize all of us. So we have to have a greater responsibility. And you know what? I don't care if I make someone mad right now. I don't care. I'm tired of the killing.
Yes.
My child's father, Amaya, my child, does not have a father because of this similar situation. Gunned down, overreacted, misinformed, whatever happened in between that. It could have been rethought in that moment. Tempers flared, exchange happened, and someone's dead and the other one's incarcerated. No one wins, and multiple babies do not have fathers. And it's essential that we understand our responsibility to one another. We have lost some type of respect for one another. When you can walk up and just take a life.
Yeah, there's just so much hate and anger in the world, and with no proper communication, you just like, oh, what did you say? Oh, you stepped on my shoe, or you did this, you did that, and you pulling out guns. I don't understand. How does that go from one spectrum to the other?
And you give this whole Black movement, you give it a bad vibe when you act in such a way. And I've had my faults. I've gotten into fights when I was younger, and I dare not do that while I'm old, especially when you got kids. Somebody's gonna be missing you. We have to put our anger to the side, and we have to actually have a conversation with our brethren again, with our family members. And to turn away and say, that's not my fight, that's not my battle, they're gonna kill each other anyway, Rachel. What is that saying to the overall consciousness of the movement, and being able to be one and understanding that we're better than that. We're not animals, we're not savages. We can practice emotional intelligence, emotional regulation. Yes. If you have a drug or alcohol problem, know when to pull back. Don't put yourself in certain spaces. I don't put myself in certain spaces because I know I'm walking in my deliverance. Praise the Lord. Yeah. Hallelujah. I would say it one more time for the people in the back. I don't put myself in spaces. No. I mean, how cold is that? I'm just saying, am I talking plainly to somebody?
Yes, you are. Don't put yourself in certain situations that you know you're going to mess up in.
Come on now. Well, there you go. It was as plain there. It was plain enough. See, sister girlfriend card.
Sometimes I catch him.
In other news, Derek Chauvin got 22 years, y'all. Yep. Justice. Ashe. Of course, he's fighting that, but he can go ahead and do at least 10 of that. Real nice and neat and PC. Sit right there. Think about all 9 minutes that you stood on a man's neck. Whether he was in the wrong, whether he was right, whether he was a felon, the police are not judge, jury, and executioner. They enforce the law, they protect, and they serve. They bring you in so you can be tried by a jury of 12. They conduct themselves at a higher standard, and they practice emotional regulation, even in times of distress. There's been many a times as a social worker, especially a CPS social worker, that I had to go out into the field, get attacked, spit on, fought on, swung on, dogs sucked on, sicked on me. Go get them, girl. Ooh, y'all should have seen me. That's when I was a lot thinner. I'll be back though. I'll be back. Look. And you gotta maintain that professionality. Are you a person? Yes. Do you have feelings? Yes. Is your ego sometimes getting in the way? Yes. But it's important. It's important that you understand exactly how to conduct yourself.
Right.
And if that's not the job for you, go ahead and get on out of that. Just go ahead, step away, get on out of that, and go find another career that position that better suits you.
Yes, yes.
That's even for you in the military, right? Because even if y'all not in active duty, can y'all act certain ways?
No, because we're still a representation of the government of your country you're serving, or whatever country you're serving. This goes for any military, not just the U.S. But
military has a higher standard, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you come into, what you sign a contract, you know what you're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is your country. You fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
And try to do what's right by your people.
Yeah. Well, you got to. And I'm just listening to the fact that the military head general said the whole thing about race theory right now, and I was really taken back. He said, "Listen, I read Lenin, I read Mao Zedong, I read Stalin. Does that make me a communist?" He said, "We have to understand what is going on in the world in order to keep up with the world, basically." And just because I study race theory and I want to know about white rage does not make me a person that is so super woke. He was like, "What is this thing about super woke?" Right? And I think it was Republican Gates that was saying something about it. He was saying that being super woke is this whole council society and you're pushing the issue and everything else like that. Yeah. So it's been really a funny time with white racial guilt and white rage right now. Yeah. They just defaced the monument of George Floyd. Yeah, another patriot group just defaced defaced it in New York City. Wow. In Brooklyn. So it's really hard to kind of hear that. Yeah. It's kind of hard to hear that. And we hear baby waking up. So we're off to that. Juggling careers, juggling hobbies, juggling things that we want to do in life. Sometimes it's like that. So cousin is off to save the day. And a lot of you all have returned back to work full time completely. We're wearing no mask. So we're getting reacquainted with one another. Some people are still struggling with the fact that, there may be some strains out there that are killer. But for the most of us are living our best life, going on vacation and gotten back to what they need to do. And I kind of wanted to talk today just about this whole woke theory and race theory and how people are making an issue about transcending what propaganda and what media tells you. I think it's very important to always read things that are not given to you, read outside the norms, and actually find out what works, right, in this world, in this day and time. And when I say what works is, how do you navigate? Find something that you can engage in conversation with somebody, you can connect. Too many of times we're on our phones. We're on the radio. I'm listening to the radio. We're not present, right? On social media. Too busy trying to get the attention on social media to kind of correspond in person. You ever saw someone that you're friends with on Facebook and then you go to say hi to them in person and they don't acknowledge you? Yeah, all of that fake stuff, right? So really taking the time to be present. One way that I do that is I intentionally speak hello to people when I pass them and make eye contact. It's funny because here on the West Coast, I'm looked at very strange when I do that. People are very uncomfortable. When I go down south, it's welcome. People will even stop and engage in conversation with you. So it's really the culture that you cultivate around you and how you're going to go about it in society. And what you're going to add to civilization and the humanity around you. So I'm grateful. I'm sitting in my gratefulness. Business is taking off for both Art Collins and I am appreciative to God for that. I'm appreciative that everything that I speak manifests well. And even with that, I'm watching my tone and I'm watching my attitude. Because when he begins to open the doors and you ask for all of these things, you have to be prepared. You have to prepare your cupboards to overflow. So I am I'm sitting in gratefulness. And Art Collins will be back with us next week. And we're going to be finishing up on some of the events the current events that are happening. We also have a panel discussion that we talked about 3 weeks ago on Against All Odds about education and getting some of our African teachers, African American philosophers, and advocates for education on the podcast to really help with that discussion. So we'll be doing that probably next week. We want you to tune in then. And this is a short, very lovable podcast, just reflection today and staying abreast. Be prayerful for our city of Stockton. We need it, and we need to show up in a good way. Put love and kindness in the air. There's too much hateration in this place sometimes. So practice kindness, practice love, forthcoming, walking in your power and your truth. And I pray that I see you next week, and we continue strong. Ashe and Amen. And we will see you later. God bless you.